Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
And Rossi.
Hey there, everyone. It's Curly, and welcome to episode 174 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We've got our first interview of 2025 happening tonight, and we have a very special guest. We've got Greg Atkinson from former Brisbane, former Sydney, well, actually still current band Ups and Downs. So, Greg, I'm going to come back to you in a sec because I need to welcome in our two co-hosts. Of course, we've got Rossi, the celebrity roadie from Sydney, and we've got Braggy. Don't remind me about the Goldfield Ashes down there in Adelaide. How are you, boys?
Awesome.
Fantastic, mate. Because at 174, that's double 87. So with Nelson's number, should we both have our feet off the ground, Braggy?
Well, no, Nelson's number is 111. 87 is the unlucky number for Australia.
That's right. So you both have our feet off the ground?
Maybe, yeah. What I'm interested in is you got the sound, you got all the sound done tonight, Ruby, but the light guy's missing. The Trong. What happened to the Trong?
Watch this. Okay, Google, turn on Garage.
It's coming.
There it is.
Only an ex-roadie's place.
So Braggy, you just returned to Adelaide.
I've just been way up north, with crazy mates that I used to play cricket with up in a place called Halifax.
Yeah,
it was awesome. We've stayed at the Halifax pub, which is right near the Herbert River. You know, right in the middle of the cane fields and the crocodiles. It was really good. Yeah, it was good to be back in Adelaide. While we're up there, we did listen to, and I think Rossi might have some things to say about it. We listened to the Triple J's Hottest 100.
Yeah, I've got that in the news. A bit of controversy around. Well, there's two Hot 100s that happen over the weekend. One is called the Gabs Beer Fest.
Right.
And a lot of cynicism around craft beer at the moment and how it's just a marketing exercise.
Right.
But I think Rossi does have a couple of things to say about the Triple J Hot 100.
What did they say? 29 Australian acts in the Hot 100? That's a little uncalled for. Yeah, the national broadcaster should really be supporting grassroots Australian bands more than they are. They haven't been for a long time. Major label acts like Chapel Roan getting a run. I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. Look, there's a lot of these people who are great performers. Don't get me wrong, and they're going to get accolades everywhere else. Like 4ZZZ run their Hottest 100. They're very, very supportive of the community they're supporting in Queensland. I love that about them. I'm generally not parochial, like really patriotic and nationalistic, but I think, in the arts, I think maybe if we got government money going into it, they could use it to help our blokes out. I think it's probably a small point, I reckon.
I mean, number 2 was an Australian act, so it's not too.
It's not. They're not excluding them, but they're not nurturing them all year round as well. Like if you're getting all those sort of I know it's a beauty contest. You're voting for people. Of course you're going to get what people like. I get that, but that's a reflection of maybe we need to encourage people to listen to homegrown music. Don't know.
Yeah. That's what Triple J was founded on, wasn't it? It was
Skyhook.
Greg, you would have been back in the day. Ups and Downs would have made the Triple Z Top 100 or Hot 100 many times, I would have imagined. Did you ever grace the Hot 100 on the Triple J charts?
I believe we made it in there for just at the bottom end for Hibernate.
Okay.
Oh, that's that's wrong band. Sorry, Ups and Downs, wrong band. I think Big Heavy Stuff. Sorry,
Big Heavy Stuff.
No, I don't think Ups and Downs made it into the Triple J Hot 100. I don't even know if it was going.
When did it start? I don't think it started.
90. Oh no,
90s.
80s, maybe? Late
Late
80s?
80s.
Well, I know Love
yeah.
at the Wireless was very early. Love at the Wireless was like about 83. And I worked for a band that was on the first Love at the Wireless album.
Yeah.
And I remember the launch of it because it was on a bill with Samurai Trash, the Triffids, Our Guys, and the Hoodoo Gurus headlined. And they were sensational, even back then.
Do you remember the old Cooking with George?
I do, very
out?
well. Because the keyboard player in the band I was working for used to work for Acme T-shirts, who made all the Triple J T-shirts.
Yeah.
So not only did we get we got the spoiled T-shirts, of course, but yeah.
A good segue. I got one more bit of news, Curly. Good segue from keyboard players. Last week we lost Garth Hudson, who was the keyboard player for the band. He's the last living member of the band. He was the last surviving member. So he passed away at 87, outliving Robbie Robertson.
Speaking of the band, a mate of mine has written a review online for the Bob Dylan film, which has caused a tiny bit of consternation. What do you reckon? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it, but I'm keen to see it because it looks like it's good.
Like if Pistol was the Disney take on the Sex Pistols, maybe this is the Disney take on Dylan. That's okay. I enjoyed Pistol. It's fun, All
right. So while Triple J sort of flounders are in what it's meant for, one area that doesn't is the Golden Guitars at Tamworth. What a week. It's just amazing what they put out. I've really got to give them credit. They live stream big concerts every night on YouTube, so there's no payment. And just very, very quickly, I've got an episode with Big Stu coming out as a bonus next week where we'll dissect some of the Golden Guitar winners. But Troy Casadale cleaned up, and a great story. Mum passed away. They recorded an album at their old farmhouse, and there's a really great story there. Maxie Jackson won Best Female. Last year, she was like Rookie of the Year. And then all of a sudden, year 2, she's cleaning up with female artists. Keith Urban, of course, was honoured. But the big news, and can I say the biggest news that came out of the Golden Guitars was the boys got a shout out to the boys. So on the red carpet, we finally got our shout out to the boys, and a big thank you to the legend that is Brittany Elise, and she gave the old shout out to the boys. She was number 2 on the red carpet, and I was just no doubt, as you two, we were just stoked. No one knew it was us.
They were trying to get rid of her. She reached in and grabbed the mic just about off the mic.
Speaking of awards, let's not be remiss of this, Greg. If I recall correctly, didn't you just bypass Triple J and go straight to the Arias?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
An emerging act or something like that?
We were, we were in the very first Arias nominated. I think along with Ed Cooper and probably the Go-Betweens. I can't remember all the bands that were nominated now, but yeah, we made it into the very first ARIA nominations, which was, I think, prior to it getting any kind of television coverage.
So there you go. Yeah. So there you go. Band on the way up, the Arias recognised them.
Yeah,
that was how it used to work.
And listen to the names, Ed Cooper, the Go-Between. So absolutely. And now is the perfect time. A renowned Australian guitar power pop band, Ups and Downs. They're playing a special set of shows coming up in March 2025 to celebrate their 40th anniversary. They've been 4 decades. I recently saw them supporting the Stems on their 40th anniversary. They were absolutely sublime. The first time I think I saw them, they were supported by a band called Cry Conflict at, I think it was Mac's Place, which was the old place in George Street that Triple Z used to have, but really known for their jangly guitars, their hooks, and just pop. They repeat guests. They were on our podcast episode 69. So welcome to the podcast, Greg.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Apologies that Darren couldn't make it tonight, but he's just a bastard.
Spoke like a true
Yeah,
brother.
the brother's right there.
All right. Well, I normally ask the first question. Curly always pushes me out front. You go out first, Greg. And normally I ask, like, I want to know how you guys. When the first time is you music became a thing for you? When you first recognised, oh, it's music. That's what I want to do. Was it you? Was it your brother? It's a two-part question. I'm also really interested to know what it was like growing up and starting a band at the height of the Joe era in Brisbane.
Well, look, we were just, I mean, Darren and I in particular just would play under our house in Oxley. We just mucked around with. Initially, we were into metal and that kind of stuff, but it just over time, got away from that area, and we were listening to bands like The Police and Cheap Trick, and that started to have a big influence on us. And plus the nature of Brisbane then, and that was quite early days for Triple Z, and we were sort of going through the evolution of Triple Z, really, where it started off doing sort of playing album tracks, and then it became, a genuinely alternative. I think when the punk thing sort of exploded, that's when Triple Z was really put itself on the map. So we started we just started to get affected by all that, because it was like, wow, this is not what we'd grown up with. This was starting to get into starting to grow up, I guess, starting to grow up through music and the connections that we started to make. So yes, that was where we started. And the funny thing about Oxley was that in the next street, Ed Cooper lived.
Wow.
And then a few streets away, Robert Vickers from the Go-Betweens lived.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to ourselves. So it was quite a hotbed of activity of Oxley.
Yeah.
So did you go to Oxley High, Greg?
No, I went to Corinda High.
I'm a Corinda boy. All right.
Oh, there you go.
See, hotbed of
Oxley
music
Primary.
down that. Yeah.
I went to Oxley Primary, but I went to, because my friends, you go with your friends, so they were going to Corinda, so I went to Corinda, and Darren went with his friends to Oxley High. So
Gotcha.
You must have been away the day, Curly, when they were doing all the music together.
Yeah, mate. I miss this thing called discipline to learn an instrument.
So I guess one of the earliest punky bands out of Brisbane is good old Razor, which we still love,
Yeah.
So that would have been around. But there has been that, as Curly would refer to it, that Queensland Paisley sound was a big thing. That jangle power pop, the Birds on Acid, all that sort of stuff. And that's pretty, that sort of, and I got to say, that sort of music, I've been able to work for every band in the world that did a bit of that at some stage. But how did you guys come to that? What was the evolution that got you there?
Well, again, it was just we were just fascinated with new music. I guess what would have been the precursor to independent alternative music back then, and we'd grown up on a lot of English and American influences, but also significant Australian influences. And at that time, the church were just starting to really make some waves, and we just, oh wow,
mind blowing.
Yeah, you guys got a similar sound to the church, not exactly the same. And then there was another band, Rossi. I tried it from England. Had really guitar. Is it Television? They were really guitar.
They're American
based as well. Are they American? Are they?
Band. Yeah, they're a CBGB's band. They're pretty interesting.
But guitars though, like jangly or
guitars. No, they're a little more quirky in a way, I reckon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was some jangle in there, but that wasn't their signature sound. It was more of a kind of a. Yeah, quirky is probably a good word.
I love that Marquee Moon album. It's like
it's amazing.
I was lucky that I did I was touring with a band who was opening for Matthew Sweet, and Richard Lloyd from Television was in the band. So I just got to know Richard because I was like, I just want to watch this guy play, and he's standing next to him play every night. And it was nothing like anyone I've ever seen before. He's got a mathematical system for playing guitar. I actually bought a book where he actually describes his music notation and theory, that he's developed this whole concept. Like, he's very smart, but I think he might be just a little bit further the edge, I think. But
Yeah.
but with you guys, the church, I know you've got the Crystal set opening for you when you come down to Sydney. And I was talking to the bass player, Robbie Warren, who is in the Died Pretty today, and he's excited. You also got Craig. They got Craig Hooper from the Reels in the Crystal set.
Yeah, so I heard, because I guess because Davey Ray Moore won't be playing with them.
Yeah, that's right. He's playing too, the drummer. So that's got to be it. I think you sold out at the Bolo in Sydney, which is that'll be massive, man. That'll be such a great show.
Look, not taking anything away from Ups and Downs, but it's a great bill because there's a lot of interest, because the Crystal set haven't done anything for a long time, and I think so there's a lot of people who are really, really interested to see them, and then combining them with Ups and Downs, where we were very fortunate that they we'd been harassing them for a while. Come on, guys, come on, you want to play, and they've been putting it off, and then we talked them into it.
I do know anecdotally there's a lot of enduring love for the Ups and Downs too, so don't understate that, mate.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. I know when I had a quick chat with Darren there at the Stems gig, and he was so excited that Crystal set, he sort of whispered that big news coming in March where we're going to be touring with the Crystal set, and in all honesty, it just seems like a really good fit as a bill. I never saw you two play together back in the day, but it just seemed that there's a lot of love between the two bands.
Actually, I think the last time I saw the Ups and Downs, and I may be incorrect, but it might have been Huxton Creepers, you guys, and Mick Madew in Brisbane.
Yeah. The
Rumours.
I don't think what the venue was.
It was a long room. It was a good sized room.
But there was a gig at West End with Huxton Creepers and Ups and Downs that I was at.
That would be the one. One. I think we've played with the Huxtons once.
Yeah. And Mick opened, I think. Mick Madew opened.
Not called Tivoli.
I know the room, but you guys were great, and of course the Huxton Creepers were great, who are also got a little bit of that jangly power pop stuff that we all know and love so much,
Yeah, Rob Crawl.
They're great guys. They are.
They are. They're lovely, lovely people. We played with them. They returned the favour about a year ago. I think. Oh no, maybe not that long ago. Yeah, maybe it was. With playing with them in Melbourne. We got to play with Huxtons in Melbourne, which was great because that's their home turf. And they're a great rock and roll band that sort of probably does a bit more rock and roll than we do, rock and roll as such, whereas I think we both had the jangle stuff in common, but we've always tended to go a little more in the sort of the darker English aspect of the Cure and bands like that was probably more of an impact on us, going into that phase,
Massive pop sensibility in that, especially in the singles, a Lit by the Fuse or The Living Kind, extraordinary pop sensibility in it though too,
Yeah.
Dictionary cures my sight. With your eyes glued, critics all reserve the right
like this layers. And when you mention the church, of course, like I think the church just like brought something to the game table for everyone to love,
Yeah,
I
well,
love
we
the
were.
church.
You probably know we were also massively influenced at that time by R.E.M, who were doing these great dark sort of pop songs.
Yeah, they were.
And the early material in particular, and we were just like, wow, So we had some great and to name another Australian band that we were really big on at the time was like the aforementioned Who the Gurus. That Stone Age Romeos was huge for us. So all this inspiration we had going on from these various bands, and I say inspiration because we didn't want to rip anybody off. Well, we probably unconsciously ripped off a few things from the church, but we didn't. But it evolved into inspiration, really, and all those bands were, huge inspirations to us.
It's funny. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Elvis Costello. We talking about ripping people off, and Elvis said someone was talking to Elvis about, did you get angry that this girl sampled you and did that? And he goes, well, how can I? I've been, like every one of us has been cannibalizing everybody else. The lyrics, that's a little bit different. The lyrics and the melodies a bit different, but like, how could I be critical of anyone using my stuff? Good luck to them. I thought, what a refreshing approach,
Yeah, someone asked the same question to David Bowie once, and he said, "You can't steal from a thief, darling."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
Hey,
Greg,
you
sorry.
go, Curly. You go.
Yeah, no, you go, Braggy.
I just want to ask, because you two guys, haven't grown up in Brisbane, and Rossi and in Sydney, and you talk about all these gigs that I never got to go and see. I just want to ask Greg, what's the most memorable gig you played back in those days with all those other bands?
Oh, gee. There were just so many. But well, look, as I say before, it was more later on, like doing joint efforts and things like that, because when we, like I was saying earlier, when we left Brisbane, part of the reason was because there was just like one or two venues at any given time, and one would close down. So Triple Z would get one venue, and you'd get to play that once or twice, within a couple of months, and you really have to hold off because there were just so many bands vying to get work and trying to get in front of an audience, and then they had their crowds, their friends, and people who liked their music that were dying to see them. So we played with a mixture, and like you said earlier, Cry Conflict. We thought they were a great band. We played with the Skeletons, we played with the Tube Club, quite a bit over time. But so things did improve, in bits and pieces. But it was always a challenge you couldn't play too much, because at that stage it was mostly about the inner city of Brisbane. Whereas when we came to Sydney, it was all the suburbs were still happening for back in those days. So you could play 6 or 7 nights a week without playing in the same areas.
That's great.
Type of thing. So at that stage, Brisbane was more of a challenge to try to make a career out of it, so to speak.
I'd say that one of the first of those inner city bands to bust out in Sydney, at least, to get out into the suburbs, were the Hitmen. And they kind of left the inner city, like the whole, and they started to go to like Blacktown and Parramatta and Penrith and Sylvania and up north, and then all of a sudden it was open slather and everyone was going there. It was incredible. It was extraordinary how that worked.
Yeah, it was quite an eye opener for us too, who were still getting to know Sydney. And we were getting to know Sydney by playing all these suburban shows, and then we played some with the Church, and we played just a whole range of bands. We played at the Mortdale, at Mortdale Tavern or something.
The Mortdale pub. That was open for a very short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of great. The Carrying Bar Inn was a
What a ripper.
favourite. So,
I think I've got a handbill of you playing at the Mortdale Hotel.
you probably did.
I love it.
I was there one night. The Turnbuckles played there with Exploding White Mice.
Oh
And
my
they
God,
put
what a
about
gig.
400 people in that little room. And it was like death trap. It was a death trap. It was good fun.
Yeah.
It was a death trap.
As far as death traps go, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. The Harold Park Hotel. We could play the Harold Park, and it was they could only fit about 100 people. And I remember playing one of the hottest shows I've ever, and I don't mean as in rock and roll, but just it was the temperature. There was kind of no air conditioning, middle of summer, and we were just drenched all the way through, and could barely play our instruments because we were just so wet. The Harold Park, the Hopetown, as well. These were all wonderful, iconic venues at the time. And of course the Sydney Trade Union, which was fantastic on so many levels. But the Triple Z thing was essential for bands in Brisbane back in the day to be able to work and be recognised and be a part of that community of people who were fanatical, like we were, about new music.
I always really respected and loved the parochial nature of the Queenslanders. You'd go up there with the tribesmen for years, and they'd still come and see Mick. And at their peak, those venues in Brisbane, like the Roxy, and Mansfield Tavern, and of course up and down the coast, were just insane. You just think these people are nuts. They just had so much fun, and so many of them had come. And we're from Sydney. We're a bit jaded. We're just like going, have a look at this. It's crazy. It was Mooloolaba, Tomo's, or Alexandra Headlands. All these venues were just teeming with people who didn't know what night of the week it was, and that was Queensland. And we just love going there.
I think we were just so repressed from living under Joe.
Yeah, that'd be it.
We were dying to get out and do something.
Yeah.
There's a venue he hasn't closed down. Let's go.
Great.
The
Greg,
people were always very nice, I've got to say.
Yeah. Greg, one of the endearing memories I have of Ups and Downs is your stage presence. Center stage, long, skinny, tall, long flowing blonde locks, the sunglasses on. Was that something that was you, or was that crafted? And do you miss the long flowing locks? Yes.
You're still skinny and tall, Greg. That's okay.
Yes. The long flowing locks. They're long gone. It's you get to the stage I'm at now where my wife cuts an even cut right round, because as you may or may not know, it stops growing evenly.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know.
Yeah, I
it
do.
gets harder, it gets harder to disguise. So rather than sort of try to rather than embarrass myself and look like a koala or something,
Or an American president.
Even cut it all around now, and it works for me. It kind of
Yeah.
gives me that sort of sharpish look, rather than oh, he should get a haircut. But yes, the sunglasses finally eventually came off. I got the funny story attached to the sunglasses was Darren and I and another guy called Kevin had a band called the Hip Mystics that were, very inspired by the scientists, Swampland and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we put together a quick band like that, and in that band I wore sunglasses and different kind of clothing, and the sunglasses sort of ended up remaining into ups and downs, morphing into ups and downs for a while there. But then eventually I just thought, I can't see anything, so I needed to remove them.
The other thing that's really exciting about these shows is you're promoting a vinyl compilation. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
That's correct. Yep.
And how many tracks on it? And how do we get it? And
tell us everything
about it.
This is one of the many areas Darren would come in very handy. He's the facts and figures man, so I don't know how many tracks. I can't tell you how many tracks are on it at the moment. But yes, it's definitely a vinyl album, and we're very excited about it because it's the first time we've put something like this out on vinyl. So the compilation. So, and the guy who's putting it out called Craig Canber. He's a long time music journalist and worked with record companies. So he's a great guy, and you won't find anybody more passionate about Australian music than him. So he's a great guy to have in charge of doing this and a whole bunch of other releases, compilations and stuff that he's got in the works.
You'll be bringing them down to sell at the shows?
What's that?
You'll have some to sell at the shows?
I sure hope so. Bloody better.
They'll be in Red Eye in Sydney and all those sort of shops too, I guess.
Yes,
And a great name, Stained Glass Memories. I think that's just one of your classic lyrics out of the...
I heard the line today.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's good.
We joked about that one for years. It was funny how it was always one that we made a bit of a jokey reference to, because it was just a funny. It was also a funny line as well as a classic line, and then I think Darren came up with the idea, and just thought that's just perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out well.
It's right on message, right on brand, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, and it's pretty obvious that it's not too serious either. It's a little bit sort of jokey as well, taking the piss out of ourselves at the same time. So
don't we love that?
And how do you guys go in the social media world these days? Who does all that?
Well, Darren does all that. He's very good with that stuff because he's got all the info as well. He's got all the he's kept all the cataloguing of the the clippings, the photos.
That's great.
He's been a real collector of those things. I've moved about 80 times, so I've lost everything along the way, apart from one small box of stuff. So he's handling that very well. We don't do anything else but Facebook at this stage. We haven't moved on to. Well, I don't think we'll be thinking about doing Twitter now, but
yes.
I think we'll avoid that one. But
even my daughter just cancelled that today.
Yes, it's a scary place. But Instagram haven't quite got there yet. Like a lot of people do it. We just haven't gotten around to expanding to that area. But yeah, pretty happy with the Facebook crowd that we connect with.
I will tell you, fellas, a social media story why I'm looking so disheveled later on. But I've got to say that Instagram skews younger. Facebook is where the people we know are.
Yes.
TikTok is probably not where any of us should be.
No, absolutely.
Hey, Facebook is the page.
So, Greg, the band that's doing the 40th, right? So, who's in it, and how many of the originals are still around?
Well, it's all the originals plus Alex Ronayne on bass, who came from one of Darren's previous bands, Atticus, and all of the in-between stuff. When Ups and Downs was on break. And it's John, John Flade, Peter Shaw, myself and my brother. So
Nice.
the only one that hasn't continued on with us in a that was with us for a period was Trevor O'Neill, who was with us for the Rash period.
Okay.
The Rash EP, and there for a while afterwards. John Flade had left for a while as well, so we had again solidified as a 4-piece, and Trevor was on bass. I'd gone to guitar, and which is kind of what I do now with Ups and Downs. I switch back and forth from bass to guitar. So Alex plays the bass on all, selects older songs and most of the newer songs that were off the last album we did, the most recent album. So it's a 5-piece working within that, and Alex will kind of saunter off stage when we're just doing the 4-piece thing. So we try to mix it up a bit. So, but he's very solid in the band, and the new mini LP that we've recorded, we're doing all that. He's bass, 2 guitars plus me on acoustic, and me brother and I singing.
Yeah, brother.
But if not even the Ups and Downs, you guys have always been pretty active anyway, haven't you? Other bands and bits and bobs.
Big heavy stuff.
Yeah.
No,
big heavy stuff. Atticus.
I thought big heavy stuff were real contenders for a while there.
Well, we tried. We gave it our best shot.
Hey, that's all you can do.
Look, and we did pretty well for considering. There's always that case of the stage of, you reach a certain point. It's like, are we going to go any further than this? And it looks to be petering. It looks to be leveling off a bit. We supported Radiohead. Toured the country with Powderfinger about 80 times as well. So so Big Heavy's had a lot of love from the industry. Got an ARIA nominated, so I've been fortunate to have been 2 bands that have been ARIA nominated.
That's
2 bands
amazing.
that also didn't win ARIA nomination. We didn't win ARIA nomination, so we've got that loser quality to us still, keeping that up. Yes, exactly. Through the system.
But Gallo's humour of a rock and roll band with brothers in it must be sensational.
But you just out there keep doing it. I read this quote the other day from Snoop Dogg, of all people, who said, he just says, make original music, release it, promote it, repeat.
He's only repeating it because he can't remember the last time he did it.
Who cares whatever happens to it, just give it your best shot. And
100%.
Absolutely. If you love doing it,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and the great thing about that's the great thing about doing it where we are now. I mean, we got to love doing it because we're in about 3 different states. So it's not easy to get together to record things, even though we've got technology that helps us along. You need to be in the room at least part of the time to get those ideas down, because you just you can overlap things, you can do things very cleverly on through technology, but there's just nothing like being in the room, playing together, and going bang. I just heard you do something. I'm inspired by that, etc. You can't get that.
Hey, that was cool. Do that again.
So true.
Hey, that was cool. Do that again.
Yeah.
That's right. You just can't do that because you've put down something when it's onto tape and you send it. It's fixed. It's not going to move. So you can work with that, but if you want things to really evolve, and we're talking about with 5 people in this case, it's 5 people who are going to offer different things that are going to make the others go, oh wow, I got this idea from that.
Yeah, and you work on something by yourself for months, and you just cannot get it. Then you get in the room with those 4 or 5 people, and they go, and you go, oh, that's it. Why didn't I think of that?
Absolutely, because you've got 4 or 5, however many members of the band you've got. You've got that many opportunities ad infinitum of getting different, hearing it differently. you hear the song differently when you take it along to a bunch of other people who hear it in ways that you don't hear it. Even if I've written a particular idea, they'll hear it differently. They'll feed it back to me differently, and then wow, just come up with some. That's where you come up with the gold.
Who does most of the writing? Is it you, or is it you and your brother collab most of the time, or?
I still probably come up with the gist of, or at least a part of the half of the idea, or sort of thing, and then the lyrics will always come over time. I'll work on that as we go. But the most recent thing we recorded was, Darren. I'll probably initially I'll play them to Darren, and then he'll sit on them for a while, getting ideas, and then I'll send them out to the boys. If he really likes a song, then we'll pursue it, and then we send it out to the boys and get them listening, and just listen to it for a while, because you don't have to do. That's probably the one advantage of just being sent something, is there's no. You just can listen to it. You just listen to it as if you're listening to, another record, and you can take it in, and then you get ideas. So that's the way we've done it now for a couple of years, and we're making that work. So, but yeah, I come up with probably half the song, I would say, and then we take it from there.
It does sound rather civil.
Yeah, civil democratic, and we have disagreements and stuff. Yeah.
Greg, I find it fascinating. You talked about technology and everything, and I think it's a fascinating story that the collaboration you did or ended up doing with Rick Springfield. So, just brief. I know Darren shared that story last time he was on, but just walk through that story again of how that came about, doing a collab with the Jesse's Girl, more or less.
Yeah, well, that was that was just fantastic for us, because we were all big Rick Springfield fans, and back from back in the day, the Zoot days as well. And we have a mate in Melbourne radio called Bruce, and I'm not sure whether he'd be okay with me giving his last name, so I'll just keep it Bruce, and him and I will do an interview. Wonderful. He's got a beautiful radio voice. And he's mates with Rick. He's mates with a few Australian great musicians like Russell Morris and stuff, like people like that too. So, and he just popped the idea. He said, "Look, do you want me to throw this to Rick and see if he wants to do the solo?" And for this Corgi song, we were doing getting back to the step where it starts, we were doing an EP of cover versions of songs that were favorites. On this EP is a Corgi song called Everybody's Got to Learn to Fly, which was a song we loved.
That's a great song.
Made me cry in the 80s. And so we wanted to do that. And then at that stage, the boys, the guitarists, hadn't worked out anything. So Bruce offered this idea. I said, sure. So
okay.
Communicated, and Rick, as it turned out, was up for it. And he's got his own home studio. So he said, look, and he hadn't actually heard the song before. So we just suggested to him, okay, we knew Rick was a massive Beatles fan, and massive Church fan, as it turns out. So we said, all right, for the solo, just think, we're not going to tell you what to play. Just think Beatles and the Church, and we'll be happy with whatever you come up with. And we were. He came up with some great stuff, and that way, and then he agreed to be in the video with us that we decided to. So we were extremely lucky for Rock Royalty to agree to all that, considering he didn't know us before that really well. So.
Not just pop royalty, soap opera royalty as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's a powerhouse.
Yeah,
he's a powerhouse.
I don't know if there's any docos on him yet, but you always forget how massively popular someone is until you watch a doco on You know,
Yeah.
I saw them in excess, and you forget how massive they were. And Rick was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was pretty big.
You should see him playing these days with his shirt off. Like, my God, the man's in his 70s. It's not fair to any of us.
I know.
It's incredible. He's such a fit and healthy guy, and he can sing, and he still looks good. It's disgraceful, I tell you.
I know.
That is a great song, though.
What he did, it's just, he has the kindest genes that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, bastard.
That's right. Only a little bit of resentment there.
He's probably still got all his hair.
Oh, of course he has. Of course he has. And it still looks good too.
Yeah, he would have had work. He would have had work done, though, Rossi. I like that song, the Crystal said. You just said before, it made me cry in the 80s. That's a good line for a song. Made me cry in the 80s.
Yeah,
we were all kind of tough then.
I remember a few times. I definitely certain songs, particularly. There were a few songs in the 70s that made me cry too. But that song in particular just tore at the heartstrings.
Yeah. Greg, there would be a large number of people who would suggest that you were one of those bands that should have made it big, but never quite got there. There's so much love for the band. Even The Living Kind, we mentioned that earlier as one of your songs, and it's just one of those Aussie classics that a lot of people actually know the song, but don't necessarily know that it's ups and downs, and that you guys were sort of soaring at that particular time when The Living Kind came out. When you think about the legacy that Ups and Downs have left or are leaving, and I know that this is not a thing about regret and bad decisions or whatever, but are you happy with the legacy? I guess that Ups and Downs has left. There, even Rossi saying there's so much love for the band. There's so much good memories of those gigs that you would do. I still remember a gig there at Albion Park in Roma Street where it was some May Day sort of a thing, and Voodoo Lust were on the bill, Ups and Downs were on the bill. It was just one of those days that you're day drinking, and it was just awesome. But the legacy of Ups and Downs, are you comfy with where it sits?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Look, we had a few regrets along the way, like we didn't capitalize on overseas. The record Sleepless being released overseas, and we were in the college charts in America for a while. Things like, there were a couple of things like that we should have pursued. But as far as our place in Australian music history, I'm very happy with that. That desire to be, a massively successful band. I don't necessarily think that's the be all and end all. It's kind of what you initially aspire to, but then we were just really happy to enjoy making the music we were playing, and continue to do that until we decided, that it was time to finish it the first time, because we all needed a break. We just needed to have time off to decide whether we wanted to come back, because we'd done a lot of that. We played at that stage, I think, at least 7 or 8 years or something like that. Oh, someone's at the front door.
What's that? Someone's at the front door.
Not my front door. But then we just got, Darren and I started doing music under just a name called Worker Bees, because I was going to, he was living in Canberra, and I was going to Canberra every 2 weeks with my work, and we started making music again together, which eventually led to Ups and Downs getting back together, because we so enjoyed playing together again.
Yeah.
That we thought, why don't we just see what the boys are doing? We contacted John, and at that stage Alex, because we were all in, either in Canberra or Sydney, to do some sort of Worker Bees thing. But then we just thought, this is becoming Ups and Downs again. Why don't we just call Peter? And it just evolved back into Ups and Downs because we love playing together. It's incredibly natural for us. And so, that's what more do you need other than doing something that you love and being able to do it right through to an older age, where
exactly.
you're still able to, it's a fantastic fun hobby now that we love the crowd as much as they love us, and we talk to everybody afterwards because we're just fans. We're just fans of bands as well, and that's what we've got in common with everybody. So, there's just not much more you can ask for with that,
Yeah. And it's there forever. The music you make is there forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And every time we get, we're fortunate to find someone like the Crystal Set who, are doing it again. That means a lot to us because obviously the bands who were around at that time are the people that we ultimately want to go out to play with, because that's who our audience also knows. And that's we try to present the best the best night for everyone.
I think it's much anticipated.
Yeah
Definitely. I can't wait to see the Crystal Set. I'm fanging to see the Crystal Set.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens on these nights, Greg, is that it really takes people back to their happy places. I know at the Stems gig, it was just one of the best nights that I've had for such a long time. And wouldn't it be great, Rossi, to get a gig lined up with Ups and Downs, Screaming Tribesmen, Voodoo Lust? Let's throw them into the mix. And I mean, and maybe having the Gurus finish it off. That would be a night.
Well, Brad's a Queenslander.
Yeah. Well, I think
like the rest of them, they all live here. So.
They've been doing a few of those things over the last couple of years anyway. Those Dig It Ups, I think.
Yeah, great. I went to
and they just did Screaming. No, they just played with
the Stems.
No, not the Stems. Scream Feeder.
Scream Feeder. That's right, Kelly and those guys.
They were doing shows with Scream Feeder. Yeah.
Yeah.
But another great Brisbane band. Yeah.
They're kind of like early 90s, like Brisbane darlings actually for a while, weren't they? They were the top thing out of Brisbane. I'm surprised that Powderfinger kind of usurped them because I thought they were really going for it,
Yeah. Yes. Look, it's as you always wonder what is it about that band that took them to the top as opposed to that band that stopped here. Like it's just.
I'd never know. I've been around. I've worked with hundreds of bands, and you never know. When you're in the middle of it, it's pretty good fun.
I think it could have been the Bernie factor. He was just this kind of something about him, just a really openness about his onstage persona. Not taking any out of it, they're a great band, but to have that person that everyone could look at, and he was just really comfortable within himself. I think that's the kind of thing.
It's funny. The thing I feel makes me feel with like you guys ups and downs. What I've listened to, I mean, I haven't listened to as much obviously as these other two have, and the Church and the Go-Betweens and Powderfinger to a certain extent. They really leave you with the music's kind of warm. They leave you with a warm feeling. It's kind of huggy music. I don't know how to describe it, Rossi, but you know what I'm trying to say? It's not right at you.
No, I was always a bit confused.
It gives you a big hug, if you know what I'm trying to say.
I was confused by Powderfinger because the first time I saw them, they were very sort of, they could have been at the Hope Town playing Detroit rock. They were really a bit thrashy and messy and noisy. And then when they kind of found their sound and really started to weave their way through, they sounded like a much different band, like, stuff like Pick You Up or whatever was that single. Yeah. They got very stripped back and mature and layered, and it was good. And the production was fantastic and all that sort of stuff. But I still could recognize. I always think of that band I saw the first time and go, What happened there? You know? It worked for him. You can't be critical of that.
All right, so just to bring it back on track, Rossi, and get away from Powderfinger for a bit. So we've got Marrickville Bowling Club, 8th of March. It's already sold out. So is there any likelihood of a second Sydney gig, Greg?
Not around the same time at this stage. Reality kicks in with work commitments for some of us. So but we're hoping at this. We haven't had the proper conversation yet, but sort of hoping that there might be able to be a return performance somewhere down the track this year, to be able to satiate the people that couldn't make it, because that was, it was fantastic to sell it out, but it's disappointing because it was so early. It means there's a lot of people who have contacted me and said, it's sold out. I said, I'm sorry, man, there's nothing we can do. It's going to be tight as. We're going to try and see what we can do to try and stretch to later in the year to see if we can do another one.
There's always that point when you announce, you go, I hope someone comes.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, you never know. It could be just 10 people who wanted to go after. So you play the next show and there's 10 people turn up.
And then on Friday the 14th, you're at Brightside in Brisbane, and Saturday the 22nd at the Brunswick Ballroom in Melbourne. So it's going to be great, no doubt, in my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to all of them. It'll be, it's been awesome. It's already seems like an age since we played, so very much looking forward to it.
And then a mini EP coming out. Do you like the words there, Rossi? Mini EP, or is it a mini album, or?
Well, it's a mini LP, isn't it? Mini LP or EP.
That's correct. Never quite sure. How many tracks have you got? 6 or 4?
Does it? They don't know.
No, I think it's actually 5.
That's gee. Depends on how long the songs are now. You haven't got a bit prog on me, have you?
No, but they're probably all around 4 minutes.
That's 20 minutes. That's probably a mini album.
Yeah,
and look, that's where Ups and Downs started. It was Sleepless was a mini LP, so it's probably about time we did another one.
Yeah.
What about an EEP, extended play?
You're covering all the bases. You're covering all the bases of the vinyl release to commemorate the tour.
But can I give you guys a what's the word? Exclusive on the title.
Yes.
Of the EP or the mini LP rather.
Yes, please.
And because it's one of the songs, it's kind of ironic, but it's also about the huge influence that Honest has had. It's called it'll be called Radio Is Dead.
Oh,
right.
So that's our controversy.
There you go, Triple J.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah.
I'm with Greg.
Wow.
We still love radio, and I hope radio's around forever. But this is the time it's for more than ever in our lives that has been challenged in streaming and all the various things. So it possibly just means a rebirth in many ways for radio, like it was a rebirth for vinyl. And but anyway, it's just it's a title for the lead song on the mini LP, and that's
Radio Is Dead.
Very
scoop.
interested to hear what people will think of that concept. Yeah,
that's a scoop. That's a shout out to the boys, sort of scoop.
It is.
Yeah.
We're turning into real journalists, you know.
All right, Braggy and Rossi, any final questions that you've got for Greg?
I don't think so, Rossi. It's over to you, Rossi, in the dark.
I know. I think it's just time that the Ups and Downs came down to Sydney, and we need more of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's really how I would sum that up at the moment. It's the right time. You're the right guys. Looking forward to seeing it.
Is that how you came up with the name? Down to Sydney, up to Brisbane?
Yeah, that's
There you
yeah.
go.
That's
Wow,
right.
how's
So
that for a
it's-
guess?
That's a week later, I think. A week later, we're in Brisbane. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just got to figure out. I got to figure out how to get to Sydney yet. But that's irrelevant. I've got a month to work it out.
I love it.
Absolutely. All right, Greg, it's been awesome catching up with you tonight, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you myself at Brightside on the 14th of March. I just cannot wait. I never saw the Crystal set back in the day, so I'm actually looking forward. I've been catching up with some of their streaming efforts, and it's all so familiar to me, but never saw them live, so I'm really looking forward to that. Braggy, they're not going to Adelaide, mate, so
Oh well,
No, it's an Australian.
you'll give me a fill in.
yeah, absolutely. I'll do another bit of a review. So over the next couple of weeks, we've got a couple of really good shows coming. Next week, we're chatting with our good friend direct from Nashville, Alison Asarch. I'm really excited. She's got some new music out, Better With Time. It's the song grows on you, Braggy.
I like the whole album. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've listened to it yet, Rossi, but I reckon you'll think it's pretty. It's
Yeah.
good songwriting. That's this Sunday, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're
9:30 my time.
Yeah, when we're recording, it's this Saturday. The following week, we got Brenda Lee Kelly from Waiting for Brenda joining us. And in between, there'll be a bonus episode with me and Big Stu talking about the golden guitars. And that'll be over a couple of beers at the back deck at Big Stu's place. So the ambience will be awesome. So if you've enjoyed this episode, everyone, please like and subscribe. Please follow Ups and Downs on their Facebook. It makes it so easy when it's just the one platform, Greg. So,
At Spotify, they're on Spotify. Go and listen to
and
all the
go
stuff on
check
Spotify.
them out on Spotify. And we will have put some of the music in between the episode as we go through, as we edit. But Solitary Man, go out and listen to that. Moments Away is one of those sleeper songs that I still just love. Of course, Living Kind, and I will never, ever forget the bass that kicks off Perfect Crime. So there are some classic songs out there from these boys. So if you haven't, do yourself a favor, as the old Molly used to say, and get on to the Ups and Downs.
We never got on Countdown, you know.
No one good did.
Well, now there's actually that's not entirely true. That's for the church. But the funny story about that was that we heard there was one stage where it was between us and the Huxton Creepers to go on Countdown, and they went with the Huxtons because they were a Melbourne band, much easier to get them in the studio. So we missed out by the Huxton Creepers getting on Countdown.
And Rob Crawl looked very attractive in those days too, with the hair.
Yeah,
he was very gorgeous blonde.
He was.
Absolutely. If you've enjoyed this episode, I will have all of the Ups and Downs links in the show notes, of course. And if you have enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe to our podcast. We love sharing music that you may not know about, and whether it's new, whether it's just discovering some old classics like we did tonight. Until next week, boys, let's keep the music alive. See you all again. Thanks, Greg.
Great.